Now, I saw a quote today
Mhm.
about the temptation of Newcastle. All right, a lot of players seem to be more invested in the project than maybe we thought that they would be, right? Because initially our
Really?
discussion was just on money.
What
No. Because
what's
initially
helping
our
them?
discussion was just on
Yeah,
money.
what's
But
helping them do that?
a lot
Is
of
it the
these
money?
players, it's 100% going to be the money, but it's the idea of, because they can get paid boatloads of money to go anywhere, right? But the idea of saying, I will be one of the core players of what could be the next Man City or PSG or Chelsea, right, is a tempting offer. And if you have a
No
strategy
one
for
cares
how you're
about
going to
that.
affect,
No one
pardon?
cares about that. I'm sorry. I completely.
No,
No
what
one
do you
cares
mean?
about that.
This is what they're saying. Now,
No
you
one
can
cares about that.
disagree. You can disagree. I don't think that that is true, because I've seen the players who have been tempted by it because they came to City and they weren't on 600K a week back then. They were on respectable wages and built the freaking club from the ground up. So if you have the
Yes, but they
temptation of a
weren't on
smart project,
600K a week. They were on whatever that number was for that generation. They were still on
I
good
agree.
money.
They were getting
The people
getting
going to
paid well.
Newcastle just have the image of gold playing in their background. And they're like, I can be the Santiago Munoz of this
But
team.
that's just it.
But
And
I
all of
can
them do.
also get paid boatloads of money doing it. So I'm just going to do it.
I bet you, Newcastle, when they have their full starting 11 that is starting to compete in the Premier League, and this would be players on Guimarães' level, which, by the way, is a Champions League level player. I bet you their wage bill is still lower than United's. I bet you their wage bill is still lower than Chelsea's.
I'll take that bet.
I bet you, because I'm telling you right now, they're going to approach, because here's how we know. You know how we know? They don't go out and sign Aubameyang, right? Aubameyang goes, oh no, I want the farm. No, fair enough, but he would still walk into Newcastle's team because they're in the relegation zone, right? In theory, the argument says, if you can pay enough, you can tempt anyone to come. I don't know that that's true. I think some players are still like, hey, then I want the farm, and then I'm just going to take the paycheck to be there. I think they're doing the right thing, saying, listen, we'll pay you well, but only if you're invested in the project. And I think the two can coexist, right? I think the players that they're going for are not just going to collect a paycheck. They're going to collect a paycheck and lead into the next one. And I bet you Declan Rice would get paid more moving to a higher club, right? Bruno Guimarães would get paid more to go to a higher club. That's just it.
Listen, that's just because everybody in the Premier League is loaded and no one has to sell. So
everybody has money.
If you want a player,
they got Premier League money.
You're gonna have to pay up some money. But the thing is, I'm not disagreeing with you in entirety.
Right.
I'm just saying that they've scouted really well. They're getting the right kinds of players.
Yep.
But to say that anybody's going for anything other than the money,
no, I think it's money.
Might be a little bit like 10% invested into the project. Yes, but I can be invested in the project if I'm, another player that they would have seen, and I would have been like, how much you paying, man? Because you are likely gonna get relegated. I back myself to play well in this team, but I need to hear a number.
See, I think that we would have heard all of the numbers if it was more about numbers. I do believe that it's I'm not dismissing the money. They're going to get paid compensation. Listen, Bruno Guimarães isn't going over for 40K a week. Okay, he's probably going over for 120, probably, right? It's somewhere in that range. But he's not going over for 300, right? He's not getting paid Raheem Sterling or Paul Pogba
is
money.
A lot of money.
I know it's a lot of money, but it's also an average salary for a player of that quality playing in the top end of the Premier League, right? So he's going to be making that a little bit early on, fine, because they're in the relegation zone, but it's not 400K a week. And that's my point. You have players who have had those kind of those paychecks, and they're the paychecks that kill the player, right? Joe and I spoke at length about this, about you're paid so much that you don't actually care about your job, right? You're just like, whatever, I get paid regardless. It's guaranteed money anyway, so what's the point? I think, and we talked about this in the Newcastle rebuild in the summer, the objective of the rebuild is capitalizing on momentum. And if you can sell this project and say, remember we were talking about, if you're Sven Botman, do you go to Tottenham or Newcastle? And you say, okay, Tottenham are more established. Tottenham can pay me probably pretty similar, right? Because they're already higher up the table. But what is worth more to me? The opportunity of Newcastle, which is in 5, 10, maybe not 5. That would be atrocious. That would be outrageous. Only if you do it like I did it. Right? Like in between 5 to 10 years, this club could be like at a Champions League level, consistently hitting top 4, or move to a club that's kind of floating around that bracket, but might be comfortable floating in and around that bracket, but not pushing to the next level.
And will probably be going the other way down.
I think the uncertainty of Newcastle combined with the respectable paychecks, not blow you out of the water paychecks. Listen, if they were to go out and get like a superstar, and I mean like like Mbappe superstar, not going to happen, right? But then Mbappe would be on $1 million a week, right? But that's not the players that they're going for, because they're making smart investments, right? I'm sure Kieran Trippier is getting paid 100K a week too as a 30-year-old right back.
Minimum 150.
but it's the
minimum.
players who you're getting excited to be part of the team. And I think Sven Botman spoke about that. I think he's coming in the summer. I really do, because I think he's invested in the project. I think Nicolas Sule from Bayern he's like, no, I'm walking out. I think there's going to be a lot of free agents here
The
who are like,
scouting is great. No, the
it's
scouting is great,
fantastic.
and they've done it really well.
And they want to be part of the project and get the paycheck. But
And
you
those
can't say that the
players
project is
will
nothing.
absolutely love it when payday comes in every,
Before you visit it.
bi-weekly.
Hey, if you're a Premier League player, you like when payday hits your account. If you play in the Premier League, bro, you're like payday. Payday comes and hits your account.
Talk to Sean Longstaff about that.
Bro, Sean Longstaff every other Thursday sees 35,000 euros deposited into his account and goes, all right, man. And he says, hey, as I'm talking about, you know what I mean? Like these are, anyway, we can move on from this, but I think that this is the best bit of business in the January transfer window. And so you might